No, I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna hear your promises. You do you and I'll do me. That's just the way it is.
Boom.
Biddly, 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 but yes, yo, here we go. There ain't nobody down round here, although kind of down, but not down. You know, we're dipping and dodging, we're dipping and we're diving, but you know what time it is. Get that badger in and on and over here. We had to move back to get his greatness in. Quick shit vid, a Farke Masterclass, even though it will be told, you will be told on Twitter by everybody that it's been blatant for us all to see that we need to play 3-5-2. And I would like to bookmark this moment. He won't go 3-5-2, unfortunately, really, but I'm glad he won't. So, in the grand scheme of things, I think if you turn up going 3-5-2 against Manchester City, they beat you, regardless. You know, we conceded 1, we scored 2. I think everybody gets extremely carried away with a 45 minutes worth of football when you've switched it up on them. But I'm genuinely happy for Farke. I don't want to be too overly cheerful. I get enough sort of happy clapper abuse as it is on this channel, or just in general, you know, out in the big world wide web. But just to give us something to cheer about, to be honest. I mean, that 45 minutes was absolutely excellent. To suggest, as I've seen people suggesting online, that it's the same old in the first half. We were just poor in the first half. We won't bang at it. And Farke, to be fair, when he was speaking about the 3-5-2, he mentioned that it's about executing the plan. And truly, I agree with that. I think this team is extremely malleable. There was times during the second half when we was 4-3-3, when Tanaka was still on the pitch, he was going further forward. We remained the same as we were. I agree, obviously, be always the extra centre-back, which I was hoping Ampadu would do more of in the first half, where he then basically sits and we become a 5. You have to be a little bit more malleable, but I think people really get hard on for scenarios. I thought we were excellent, that being said, in the second half, and it does. I don't want to be over the moon for losing, like I say, but it's particularly the way the game was going, to going at 2-0 and just think, we're dead and buried here, and it wasn't good. And after the first half, I was still pretty positive. I thought we were, the first goal, I was still pretty positive. It's a minute in. It's like you do all that training all week, and then really you're putting it down to a system that, the first attack, the first Manchester City attack goes in. I thought Perry was diabolical for the second goal as well. I just think he's, for a big 6'6" fella, and Bernardo Silva's, 2'10", to not be able to get him out of the way and just come and clatter everybody is beyond me. But they're just not aggressive enough at any level. At shit Sunday League level, the goalkeeper just comes out and nobody wants to be anywhere near him. You're going up for an header and there's a big old brute in net and he's coming out to get you. You do not want that heat. The reason why I don't think, everybody moans about Farke being reactionary and all that, and he was proactive today. Now, the reason I think he does wait too long, as we've discussed for the substitutions and stuff. But we were playing well against Villa, for instance. We was absolutely shit in the first half, barring what I would say Ampadu and Gruev. I think Gruev gets a lot of unnecessary and unneeded and ugly shit when it comes to talking about Gruev, because to be honest, that's his type of game, isn't it? Like where they're going to have a lot of ball. We're trying to make it a bit messy, a bit growly. He gets about, good in a challenge. He releases the ball quickly. He's good with his feet, to be fair to him. He can get about the pitch enough. I think he reads the game really well. I thought him and Ampadu were good. And I actually thought, to be fair to Tanaka, in the first half, he was the only one that looked to have that little bit of courage on the ball. As I say, we had a 10-minute spell after their first goal in the first minute, where we actually looked like we was decent in the game. And then obviously they did take over. But they're going to have large portions of the game, aren't they, where they control the control of the game, which they obviously did. But yeah, Tanaka looked like he wanted to actually get on the half turn and have a look for James. Ampadu played a couple of balls over the top to James. That was obviously a bit of a tactic. Tanaka looked brave on the ball is what I'm trying to suggest. And that's the hardest thing to be in football, and particularly at a big, I'm not necessarily a big stadium like Etihad, but certainly a stadium that is surrounded by trophies, isn't it? So, it does take that extra level. There was a lot said about the starting lineup. I thought James Justin was actually decent for what it's worth. I thought Bogle was good. I thought Pascal and Rodon dealt with Haaland wonderfully well, to be honest. You've got to give it to Pascal. He obviously had that nosebleed in the second half where he balloons the ball up into air and he ends up just starfishing on floors, he's just legs out, arms out. But the way he dealt with Haaland were excellent. That's all, we were joking yesterday in the live, but you just got to manhandle him a bit. And if you've actually got a bit of strength about you, it's not a foul, is it? It's only a foul when you get in, when you're having to drag him and you're not, or you're getting your arms around him like Badger style, like getting on top of him. It's not a foul to just be really like, well, you're not going to get rid of me, I'm not going to get rid of you type of thing. When a immovable force, it's a unstoppable object or whatever the phrase is. They're colliding out there, they're coming together. And I thought Pascal were brilliant with him. I still think we're so poor from corners in terms of defending. I still can't for the life of me understand why we can't just get Pascal and Rodon and whoever else is a unit, Stack or whatever. Just get three. I know Stack wasn't starting today, but just get the three best headers of the ball. Stack might not be good in air. Just being told don't make you good in air, believe me. But you just get your three best headers in the box, get a few to pick up a few markers, then the rest of you can go zonal. But if that comes in my zone, I go and win it. What ends up happening is the way, and then that is reactionary. So they're coming onto the ball and you're waiting to go and win it. You're never going to win an header like that. But I thought I enjoyed the changes, to be fair. I thought Nonto was a good, non-tone James. That's what everybody's been calling for. Obviously, didn't start Aronson, which I actually thought he was gonna, in all fairness. People were calling for why Goodmanson got dropped. I don't know whether it's necessarily been dropped or not. I think it probably is. But again, we've got to use the squad. And I did think James Justin was good. He made a few really vital blocks. Or one certainly vital block. We sort of hung on a little bit in the first half as well. But again, shit is as shit does. You've got to get to half time, haven't you? I actually called for half time. And I got told at half time during my live feed that we're dead and buried now. And this is kind of what I was saying before the game. Man City can be got at. And there's no... Well, you've only got to ruffle them up a bit, and that's ultimately what we did in the second half. But you're never dead and buried when the game is played. The game isn't over till the fat lady sings. That is, the oldest saying in the world. Or it ain't over till the fat lady sings is the old saying. And it is true, isn't it? Ultimately, and it proved itself to be true. We were bang back in it. And to be honest, I nearly said in my live feed, but I bottled it because I thought, I did think we were going to end up. You just knew they'd get a chance, and the individual quality that they have on the pitches, that's how it ended up. But I was going to say we were so on top. It's like I said it was like when we're in the Championship and when you're expected to win games. The way we were going forward and the way we were creating chances and causing problems relentlessly for them made me feel as though we needed to, if we go 3-2 up here, like as though we're going to try and win the game. Whereas I felt like we killed the game off a few times where it's just like, just keep going at 100 mile an hour. I actually called for this at the start of the season. Just do everything at 100 mile an hour. And with that comes problems. Bielsa was 100 mile an hour, wasn't he? And with that comes problems. Individual mistakes or, errors, balls out of play, poor passes, losing possession, people not on the same wavelength. But if you try and chill it out, that's exactly what Man City want. But we didn't really do that too much. I thought DCL was unreal when he came on. And Panic Pep, as I now call him, I don't know how he got away with that team talk. Now, he said he didn't communicate with Donnarumma to go down. It was obviously, I don't blame Donnarumma for going down and them trying to sort of rally and get all the players around Pep. Guardiola, I don't know why I'm calling him Pep. I understand Donnarumma going down. That's fine. That's a bit of gamesmanship. I'd want our players to do it, waste time, get everybody settled down. What I can't have is I thought that was illegal. I thought that was against the rules for them all to pile over to Guardiola or any manager and have a team talk. They were literally like, having a timeout. You can't do that. Where the fourth official, I thought back in the day when Mourinho used to try that on and stuff, I thought the fourth official would be going mental at that. So no, you can't start having a chat. You can't come out your technical area and start having a chat. But ultimately, it proved, what we were up to, wasn't it? It proved that we quite literally had them panicking. And the amount of individual influence and talent that they have on the pitch, I thought we nullified it really well just by being aggressive. And I've got to say, in the second half, I thought Ampadu were decent in the first half. I thought they were unlucky, really. The pairing of Gruev and Ampadu, I thought they were unlucky in the first half, just on the basis that we were shit. But Ampadu's calmness, again, away from home, in a cauldron of trophies, this huge trophy club, because they are a trophy club, whether you think they're a huge club or not, they certainly won some trophies in the previous years. His calmness, he channeled some sort of inner Busquets. He were like cutting, and then it was constantly like, right, release it. I started to get, because I was panicking. And that is one thing I have to say. This is why you want to be in the big league, in my opinion. The whole reason why you want to be in and on and over here in the big league really is because everything means absolutely everything at every single moment, doesn't it? The ball goes up for an header and Pascal wins the header and it's like, everything's like supercharged. Even at 2-1, I was like, right, come on, 10 minutes, no silly goals. You literally, everything's microanalyzed and everything feels huge. Every throw-in one or pressing a player down or whatever. When you're in Championship and you're expected to win, is it as fun? I'm not so sure. I'm not sure it is. People that call for, well, in Championship we win loads of games. It's like there's a positive to that, but the negative is it never feels like it felt today. When we went 2-2 today, my head went, and then for 10, 15 minutes, I swear to God, I couldn't even read comments. I was like, oh my God, I didn't lose my marbles or all. I didn't go like out of my mind, but I certainly was like on my edge of my seat, on the edge of my seat. Like it was a mint 45 minutes. And that, is why we're here. You want these moments against Manchester City, don't you? That's why I can't help but be happy with what's occurred in that second half, because I thought it was a valiant effort. And, that how the game was going, I just thought we were going to collapse. But that being said, ultimately, it's another game with no points in it and we carry on. There's more positives to take from it than negatives. Nobody expected us to beat Man City. People were saying 5-0 to Man City before the game, which is a fair enough assessment. We got beat 5-0 to Arsenal. You go 1-0 down in 1 minute, you've got to agree you're looking at 5-0 at this point, aren't you? If Man City really tick-tocking. The one mad thing that I saw a comment, it was 90 minutes between Foden's first goal and his second goal, which is, a frightening thought. But yeah, my overall assessment of it is still no good in terms of points. There is plenty of positives for us to take into Chelsea, get them at home now. I actually think Chelsea will be a more difficult game than Man City, because I think there are ways. I don't think Man City are as invincible as people make out. And that's not to say that Chelsea are invincible, because I think Man City are a better side than Chelsea. It's a weird thing when I feel like when you knock Man City off their pedestal during the game, I don't feel like it's business. I feel like with teams like Chelsea and that, they might just turn up and and we might just roll over for them type of thing. It's one of them. Again, if we get 15, 20 minutes, that ain't going to happen again. If we concede again in the first minute, we're not going to... It was unique today, wasn't it? It was unique. But yeah, that's my overall rundown. I don't believe we need to go 3-5-2. I don't think we need to acquiesce towards that. I think there's ways of staying 4-3-3, getting Metcha inside and getting as close to Calvert-Lewin as you possibly can. Metcha will put a shift in. I still maintain that he can play on right wing, not like Dan James, but certainly like Aronson, and just get him as close to Calvert-Lewin as possible. Even put him on the left and put Aronson on the right if he wants to go like more into like a 4-4-2. I just think these players are so malleable. I just think if you turn up 3-5-2 every week, we'll end up playing 5 at back every week. Teams turn up, teams realise what you're doing. It's the same thing. I agree with Farke. I can't help it. I agree with him. You need to execute the plan. The best way forward for us to create goals and to defend well is 4-3-3. We have a bit of it all. I think if you want to go Gruev, Ampadu, Longstaff when Longstaff's back, if you want to go Tanaka, Gruev, Ampadu, I'd be up for that while he's not back, while them two aren't back. I think that's the best 3 at the moment. Ultimately, if you change formation, one of them has to come out. So I just think it's, well, you could keep them in, but you're becoming increasingly more defensive. And then how do you get forward? What do you think? You just get penned in, and going long will work. I said this yesterday. It'll go well against Manchester City, won't it? But Brighton wasn't there. We had Calvert-Lewin there, and we couldn't go long against Brighton. Teams know there was a bit of shock value involved today. People I know yet again are going to hugely disagree with me because everybody's now 3-5-2 and it's all glaringly obvious for us to see. I think there's a way of getting Calvert-Lewin in the side with Metcha without going 3 at the back. I don't want to go 3 at the back. 3 at the back also gets abused. And mark my words, if he does, which he won't, which is kind of a shame, but I'm kind of glad because I think it's the right thing to do, not go 3 at the back. But if he did, you mark my words, the second it goes tits up, everybody will shut up and then they'll go, right, it's just Farke's fault, or Beale's not good enough, or this and that. They'll just be on to the next excuse. There's no excuse. It's definitely an option in certain games where we can go along and definitely throw. I'd much rather him throw Metcha on up front with Calvert-Lewin and not even with a view to go long, even if we still try to play out from the back or whatever. If it's not on, I think that's a better option than throwing Peru, Mecha, just bringing them all off at bench. I think that's a better option for us. I think there's a few things we can go ahead and do. But ultimately, I can't help but be positive with today, which is ridiculous because there's no points. And we'll be 18th in league or whatever we are, 19th. I don't know what we are. I've not looked. What's everybody's thoughts? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to my watch along today, and everybody that jumped in on the Friday live and the Thursday underlap. I proper appreciate you. I'm off to go eat some sausages, fellas, and then I'm off to work. So take it easy, everybody. We're all Leeds. We're all happy clappers over here. I'm happy to ride it out. I'm happy to be an happy clapper. I'm looking forward to Chelsea, and plus it's my birthday day after, so I'll be getting absolutely frimponged. Not the footballer, in the mind. See ya.
I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna play no games. No, I don't wanna hear your promises. You do you and I'll do me. That's just the way it is.
Boom.